10 years ago, Gotham City witnessed the emergence of the mysterious vigilante known as the Batman. Fast forward 10 years later, he's gone and nowhere to be found. However, he left a powerful impact, having significantly reduced crime all across the city, and battled some of the most bizarre yet truly evil individuals out there. But yet, there remains an ambiguous and more mysterious side to the vigilante. Welcome to Gotham Sightings. I'm your host, Jack Ryder, and in this YouTube series, I will be sharing with you the many unique and shocking stories sent in by Gothamites of all backgrounds of the caped crime fighter and his exploits in the city. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. My name is Holly, and I was the first person in Gotham to see the Batman on the very first night he appeared. And it was also the night that changed my life forever. It was back in 1998, and I was 21 at the time. I was working as a stripper in a club down in Gotham's East End. I think the club was called the Ice Lounge or Iceberg Parlor or something like that. Not sure if it's still there anymore. I hope it isn't. It's a horrible place where you'd have to show off your body to the worst of the worst. The boss was an ass, too. Fat, small, and full of himself. But times were tough for me. Family kicked me out and I had to move in with my best friend, Selena, and her million cats. But again, times were tough. I was desperate. One night I was walking home from work. To get to the apartment, I would have to walk down the main street, passing all the other clubs, as well as prostitutes and drunken men. Once at the end, I would have to cross the Pinckney Bridge to get across the river. Then it was about a 15-minute walk along the edge of the East End's waterfront. On my left would always be the run-down, abandoned stores with their boarded-up windows and homeless living in or around them. But then to my right, I would see Gotham City's own Statue of Liberty in the far distance, Lady Justice. It's taller than the one in New York, I think, but it's very pretty at night. Probably the only nice thing I ever saw in the East End, and it's not even in the district itself. Anyway, when I was walking about 5 minutes away from Selena's apartment, I was looking at Lady Justice as I was walking, distracting myself from the fact that it was dark and I was alone. But not for long, because I suddenly heard footsteps quickly approaching me, and as I turned around, a man came up to me and held a knife to my neck. To this day, I still remember the coldness of the blade as it slightly pricked at my throat. He wore a hoodie and dark clothes, and his face was covered too. He demanded my money, jewelry, everything I had, said he would gut me if I didn't do as he said. In a panic, I got my purse out, but it had a picture inside of my brother, who passed away some years ago, and it was all I had of him. But before I could take it out, the man snatched my purse from me. I tried to say something and grab my purse, but he got angry and cut my arm with the knife, then pushed me to the ground, cursing me. Then it got worse. He spread my legs and tried to pull my skirt off, all as I was begging and screaming for my life. But then, suddenly, there was a loud thud behind the man. We both looked, and there he stood, this weird-looking figure in the dark with large horns. The Batman. I couldn't see his face. It was like he was made of shadows. I was utterly terrified, but at the same time relieved that the man wasn't focusing on me anymore. The man was just as shocked and confused as me, and he started to shout at Batman, saying that he should keep away or else. Batman didn't say anything, but then started to move toward the man, and quickly. The man was freaked out and tried to stab Batman by swinging his knife toward him, but Batman grabbed his arm with the knife before it hit him, and then with his right arm, pummeled the man's face at least 3 times with his elbow, with the last one smacking him right across the face. Batman then did what I think was an uppercut to the man. He instantly fell to the ground. The man's face was bloody, but would soon become even more so. He tried to grab his knife that was on the road, but Batman grabbed his arm and kicked at his elbow joint, breaking it. Don't get me wrong, I was so grateful that I was not getting raped, but that scared me to my core, to the point where I was questioning if Batman was even going to let me walk away. Batman stood over the man. He was like the devil, and he'd come to claim a soul. The man was screaming in agony, but I thought, fuck you. It's what you get, you bastard. I kind of thought it was over and began to get up, but Batman grabbed the knife the man had dropped, knelt down, and then started to smash it into the man's face with the blunt side. I can't remember how many times he hit the man, because all I could focus on was the blood that was hitting his face. It was all over his mask, dripping with it. Once Batman stopped, I instinctively felt the need to rush up on my feet, which I did, but I stood still in shock and uncertainty. Batman got up and looked at me. It was like staring into an abyss made of shadow. He then picked up my purse, which made me jump a little, but he then held it out to me. I cautiously took it. I tried to say thank you, but I was so shocked at what I had just gone through, and before I could work up the courage, he said something to me. He said, "It's okay. You're safe now. The police will be on their way." He then took something out of a belt he wore. It was a bandage. He gently wrapped it around my arm. His grip was firm and steady. Within at least 10 seconds, he was done. I thought he must have had previous experience with wounds, judging by how quick and precise he was. So maybe he was a surgeon? But before I could come to a conclusion, he ran towards an adjacent alley and disappeared, never saying a word. But I think I remember seeing him climb onto the top of the roof of a building, but then go out of sight. The police came and I told them everything. They were very unsure of what I was saying about Batman and asked if I had had any alcohol or taken any drugs. Typical. I told them no. They took my statement and had an ambulance help me with my cut. The man who attacked me was taken to hospital with critical injuries. About a month after that night, I testified against him in court, and he was sent to Blackgate. That night changed me. I never saw things the same. It forced me to pull myself up and get the hell out of the East End. I left Selina and went back to my family to make amends. After they heard what had happened to me, they let me stay with them until I could find a new job and get myself on my feet. Despite how horrific that night was, I have Batman to thank. He, in a way, set me straight. And, long story short, 10 years later and I'm now 31, happily married, have 2 kids, and live in Metropolis. Not sure what happened to Selina, as she never stayed in touch, but that's neither here nor there. Well, there you have it. Not only was it the night of Batman's first appearance in the city, but the night that changed Holly's life forever. It must have been a truly terrifying experience for her to have been attacked the way she was, but it is good that she was saved by the Caped Crusader, despite if his methods back in those early days were rather extreme. But to the contrary, I would say his methods were actually befitting of this town. Because as every other Gothamite knows, Gotham City is, when it comes down to it, a dangerous place, especially at night. This has been Gotham Sightings with your host, Jack Ryder. Thank you for watching, and stay safe out there.